Here we go. I'm switching the default microphone. Can you hear me now? Let me know. Okay, awesome. Sorry about that. I don't know what happened there. Where the audio went. I guess it was my headphones. Um, but yeah, no, I was just saying that we're excited about the eclipse and that I had actually gotten our glasses a few months ago. I wasn't aware of like the next date of the solar eclipse. I just saw them and I thought, oh, this would be fun to have for when there are solar eclipses. And sure enough, uh, we have them, and we're finding that a bunch of people are unable to find them at the moment. So yeah, we're not in the path of totality because I think it's going to be completely like they're going to see it more Buffalo upstate, but we are going to see it like partially here. So yeah. Ah, thank you, Suzanne. It's a little chilly. So I was wearing my Brian bought me this shirt, and it says learn about recycling, but it's like recycling your body and feeding it to the flowers. And I love this shirt. And but it was chilly, so whew, I was like, oh my gosh. Um, oh yeah, but I mean, there are some places like some pharmacies and stuff that are selling them. Um, and I know that there's like different tricks you can do. I know I did it for I think it was it in 2017, 2018. There was it a partial eclipse? I just remember I didn't have any glasses, and I was doing the paper trick. It's like you do a there's like a hole in the paper, and then you like hold it up behind you, like the sun's behind you, and then it casts like a shadow, and you can actually see where the eclipse is, but you're seeing it as a shadow, and that's how I saw it the last the last eclipse that was yeah, it was like 2017, 2018, something like that. So yeah, and this whole thing was actually making me think of I have a lot of big books. I actually want to do I was just telling my friend I was like, I have a lot of these like really big books, and I think I want to do maybe like a video where I talk about like my favorite big books that I have in my collection. And this one is for today is very cool, and it's called Flowers from the Heart by Princess Amanda. And I really like this copy because I actually have it signed by the author. Um, but this is an author that shares a lot of my interest in that she has gathered information about many different plants and tried to basically kind of put it all together. And I myself have been doing that slowly for years, gathering up information. I have like an itch that I can't get off. Like it's like right here. I can't get to stop. I mean, um, but I've been collecting, and over the weekend I actually was kind of opening up my lists because I really want to continue that project. As of right now, there are 1,300 plants on that list. And so I had been every time I encountered a new common name or I saw that the scientific name changed, if there was an interesting fact about the plant, I was building up basically this giant list and cross-referencing books and stuff, and I had been doing that for years, and I really haven't looked at it gosh, for a while now, for at least a year I haven't looked at it. So it felt really nice opening it up and kind of going through that. And oh yeah, hard drive, yes. um yes, I had it all on a hard drive, And then I I switched it to like Dropbox to have like that backup. And thank goodness I did that because the hard drive I had, I mean, it was an older hard drive, external hard drive. It like not encrypted. I don't know what it did. It did like a reset of something. And when I had tried to connect it, because I was like, oh yeah, I want to like put more stuff on Dropbox, and I couldn't get my stuff anymore. That was terrible because those were like pictures from like high school and stuff. And I was able to recover a little bit of it in terms of like the content because I was able to get into like my old MySpace, so a lot of those photos were on there, so at least I was able to do that, but I couldn't get into my external hard drive. So I try to do it in multiple places, and Brian has set up a cloud, and we're gonna do that and back that up there too, because multiple places. I even have stuff that are files that are saved on CDs, like on 2 CDs, just as backups, because I have that fear now, based on what happened with that external hard drive. I'm like, oh my God, that's gonna happen to me again. Um, but yeah, uh, hold on. Oh, I left my, hold on. Let me grab my drink real quick. Here we go. There it is. Okay. Um, but yeah, she basically put a bunch of the information together as well. And for me personally, I love plant folklore. So I love hearing about these stories. And what I love is when I like to approach it from the science side, of course, but then I mean, I grew up, my mom, gave us books on Greek mythology and Egyptian mythology and things like that. So I always love these really cool fantasy stories. And then as I got older, I started learning more about like, oh, Celtic folklore, and I started kind of diving into that. And then I started, as I got older and I learned more of the science in relation to the plants and the phytochemistry, uh those stories, I was like, hold on, wait, wasn't that a story? So like certain plants, for instance, like I think onions, right? Onions is a great example. Onions, you see them in some folklore and like old like customs where they were believed to kind of pull impurities, pull bad vibes essentially. So like um out of the environment, out of your house. And so something that some folks would do would be to take an onion, peel it, and put it like on a windowsill, and it would turn black over time, and and they believe that during that process it was pulling, all that negativity. Yes, Suzanne, for curing warts too. Yes. And so onions are what is called a keratolytic. Keratolytic? I think I'm pronouncing that correctly. I'm not sure if it's keratolytic or keratolytic, but uh either way, basically there are certain plants like um onion, also ginger is another, mustard seed is another one, where they're so basically kind of they're so pungent. They have this like heat to them when they are on your skin, that it could like literally burn, if it's strong enough and on your skin long enough as well, it can like burn off a layer of your skin. And they were used traditionally to kind of burn lesions, warts, even cancers, to dissolve things like what are they called, like corns, so like where skin was like very layered and crusty, and yeah, it's really interesting. And you actually find things like Alan, is it allantoin, um allantoin, I don't know if I'm pronouncing that correctly, I'm thinking of the chemical name. But you see some in certain creams, there are things that are found in onion as well. Uh in certain creams and things like that that can be very healing to the skin, and like for especially like creams for like scars and things like that. It's really really cool. Um, but yeah, I think it's keratolytic. I think that's the because there's also escharotics, and that's with scars. But I think it's keratolytic. Um, but yeah, so like stories like that. So these, these beliefs where the folklore would be, oh, this will cleanse, this onion, right, will clean up the environment, it will pull these impurities out, it will absorb all this negativity and protect my home. And in some stories you actually hear that they would peel the onion and even put needles in it, like it was like a whole thing. But then when you look at what the onions do, um, so yeah, they're antifungal. They can be used in things like burning away, so kind of like cleansing, removing. So you just see that a lot of the ways that the plants were used, it really does tie to these beliefs that kind of got wrapped around this mythology around them. And so like other plants like mugwort, it's related to wormwood, which is used to make absinthe. And so this kind of group of like the wormwoods, they have this psychoactive ability. Some people are more sensitive than others, but essentially they can give you really interesting dreams, things like that. And so when you read the folklore associated with the plant, it's like psychic dreams and you know uh to communicate with the spirits, right? It's just so interesting because it's like, well, scientifically, yes, it does cause you to have some really intense dreams. um and then you see how folks have like built all this folklore around them, and I love to see that type of thing. uh, and sure enough, and that's like the facts I collect. I collect not only the horticultural info, so how to grow the plant, where does it grow, what's the seed distribution, what part of the plant is used, and how are they used. I've been like gathering like all this information over the years, but then I also like every time I hear a cool story, so either firsthand, someone goes, "Oh yeah, in my culture, we believe this about, let's say, onions." Right? I'm like, oh, hey, that's cool. And then I write it down, or if I'm reading a book, or I'm listening to a podcast or a documentary, uh, and it's cool. It's like, oh wow, all right, awesome. Um, yeah, like I'm even thinking, is it caraway? It might be caraway. Um, but that there were loaves. I like Roman soldiers would make loaves that had like caraway seeds. Um and yeah, like that they would, it was like a prominent food that they would have, and that they believed that, eating it would help them in battle and things like that. So I love those type of stories. And when I came across this book, it also has those types of stories. And so for each plant, so for instance, let's say apple blossoms. So right now, folks might be seeing cherry blossoms. I haven't seen any apple blossoms, because it's still a little too early for them. But there was a peach that was blossoming actually. But let's say for just that book, this is such a big book. Sorry, for this plant, for this flower. So it's the astrological signs, the beliefs of like the magical properties, so like happiness, friendship, health, long life, success, fertility. And then it says if an apple blossom appears in your dreams, it's a sign that you're feeling on top of the world. And dreaming of apples could mean a long life. It's really interesting. And then it talks about how it grows in the garden. more fables and folklore and myth and poetry as well. So different poems about the plant in question that she's discussing. And I just love that she pulled from all these different places and kind of just puts it all together. And I like the design of the pages as well, because it's like, let's say this is bleeding heart. So you see the flower here, you see different association. Um, and here's like all about how it grows, how it is in the garden. It's just a really fun book. So I highly recommend if you're able to find it. It's just such a beautiful book. Like here's Buttercup. Like it's just, if especially if you're like a arty like artsy person, I feel you really might enjoy this book. Flowers from the Heart by Princess Amanda. And it's such a beautiful book. And I just think really gorgeous. And what was making me think of for today, especially like with the eclipse and everything, um, yeah, it talks about um like the astrological signs, and uh it also talks about making gardens associated with your astrological sign. And there's this beautiful, beautiful image here. Absolutely gorgeous. So it's just a really fun book if you're also a folklore fiend. Um, so if this is something that interests you, you really like plants and you like the stories behind the plants, this might be good. I'm a Taurus, so my birthday's a couple weeks away. Um, but it says here, for instance, that, oh, interesting. So it says the Taurus garden should contain any sweet smelling blooms such as hyacinths, lilacs, and Lily of the Valley. I love Lily of the Valley. Um, Lily of the Valley, it just smells exquisite, but it's very, very, very toxic. And I have seen a lot of folks misidentify it, especially during springtime. So if you get into foraging and you want to like collect things such as ramps, wild ramps, and things like that. Lily of the Valley looks very similar to it when it's not in flower, when it's just the green like foliage. So be very careful about that, that you're not accidentally eating a poisonous plant. So yeah, it be very, very careful. Oh, Suzanne, you're on April 20th. I'm on May 4th. So it's coming up. It's coming up. Let me see here. Oh, and it says for Taurus, tending a garden brings in the positive and brings out love all around. All right, all right. Yeah, I'm definitely, gardening is definitely something positive for me. I wasn't necessarily feeling that way on Saturday morning. So I helped plant some trees out in Randall's Island on Friday morning, and I was feeling it the next day. And so for any of you who do live in New York City, Randall's Island, they've been doing like a really big push to kind of green up the area, add more flowers, add more also native trees, which I love. So we planted some swamp white oak out in front of the stadium that they have there. I'm not sure how to pronounce it. Ikaron? A Karen? I might be butchering that pronunciation. But it's a new stadium that they have there. Well, I guess that they're trying to get more people to go to the stadium, and we put some and yeah, and we put some trees up, and they were tall. They were like with the canopy, so some were like 8 to 10 feet. Think, yeah, something like that at least. Yeah, very, very, very big. Um, and I definitely felt it the next morning. Oh, And for folks who experienced the earthquake, so we didn't feel it. Like in Randall's Island, the workers that we were, because there was a bulldozer and a jackhammer that was working right next to us. They were making more tree pits and things. So we were none the wiser. We were just in the mud because it had been raining for like 4 days. So thank gosh, I think, thank God I wore my big rain boots because it was so muddy and we had to dig out the holes ourselves. Dig out the holes and move the trees like with the root mass and all. It was covered in burlap. Had to roll them, place them in, remove the burlap, remove like it's like a cage around it to kind of hold everything in place, and then refill the holes. So we didn't feel anything. And so yeah, but apparently the our building shook. Brian was home, and some stuff got knocked off the shelf. The plants made it okay, thankfully. And then when we were home, it was like at 6 p.m. because I think the earthquake happened like at 10:30 a.m., something like that. And then at 6 p.m., we did feel the aftershock. So yeah, we did feel that. So that did freak us out. I was like, what is happening? It was like a weird sound before it started shaking. It sounded like the groan of metal. Like, and so I don't know if it was the building. I don't know what that sound was. But that made me turn towards the window. And I was like, what was that? And then all of a sudden, we had an aftershock, and I could see the plants like this on the window. Um, but yeah, but it was only a couple seconds. So I know it was like the epicenter was in New Jersey, but we felt it in New York. I know folks felt it in Connecticut, in Massachusetts. People were reporting having felt it. So um, scary times, scary. Yeah, thanks, Suzanne. Yeah, no, that definitely. Ooh. Um, oh, and what's in Aries? Yes. Let's see, Aries. So for your garden, it recommends American Beauty roses, bright geraniums, red poppies. These brightly colored blooms will help to give Aries the needed energy and inspiration to confront and handle difficult schedules. So it says Aries love change, so it's important to rotate the plantings to satisfy the Aries need to diversify. Um, I think these things are super cool. Um, they're fun. I like these types of things. Um, so this was I this is one of my treasured folklore books about plants. I have a lot of plant focused folklore books. Um, and yeah, so for those, if you just are popping in, um Flowers from My Heart by Princess Amanda. Um, Super fun book. Again, if you really like folklore, um, if you kind of like plants, folklore, as well as want like a really artsy, even coffee table book, this is a really beautiful book to have on hand. So it really is awesome. I really like it. And so being that there's so much with the eclipse and everything, and all these beliefs around eclipses, I thought it'd be a fun book to show you. Oh my gosh, Diana says my sister felt the tremor all the way in Collegeville, Pennsylvania. Whoa, I didn't realize that Pennsylvania felt it too. Um, oh, and Suzanne, I have pink and red and pink geraniums I've overwintered. There you go. So it looks like sounds like you're on the on the right track there. Yeah, oh man. Yeah, let's see. And oh, I put them behind that's why. I was like, I know I brought something else to show you, and I put them behind my computer. So out of sight, out of mind. All right. So, um, Brian, gosh, I think it's been like 2 months or something. A month, 1.5 months, 2 months. He purchased some new tissue culture plants, and so we really have been trying to work with some tissue cultures, and I'm excited for the experimentation always. So trying it, but they have been growing really, really well. So I kind of want to show you progress. So I believe I did show everyone when he initially got them, but it's been a little bit. So wanted to show you here. So this is the Monstera Burl Marks Flame. So right now I've been seeing folks selling even, a 2 or 3 leaved plant with some really beautiful fenestration. So that means when they have like the openings, like you think Monstera, you think of like, those like very split leaf and holes and things like that. Those are called fenestrations. And I've seen some really beautiful Burl Marks flames like that, but they're going for hundreds of dollars. Even like a 2 leaved plant, probably the cheapest you're seeing it's like 150, maybe 125, maybe for like a cutting. But I've been seeing some mature plants go for much more, like a well-rooted plant, with some really gorgeous leaves. Uh, are It's pricey. It's pricey. So these were cool because you can start it off small, and hopefully, it'll do well once we transfer them out. The roots are looking great, but this is what it looks like right now. And so just these thin little immature leaves, but it's been pushing out this root growth, and it has that node, and it has an aerial root. It looks brown, but it's this aerial root here, and the cataphyll. So when philodendrons are releasing are kind of opening up to have their leaf, they actually have this structure that kind of protects the leaf before it comes out, and then it kind of like comes out like that and dries up and starts to kind of turn brown. We've been watching it because I get nervous that things like that would rot. But so far so good. It's just turned brown. But the root base looks great. And yeah, so it's a little Burl Marks flame, and this is glass, and yeah, so it's in this agar, so it's like a nutrient um based gel uh that will keep it going. But it's gonna grow out of this soon. Um and the roots are pretty long, so I think it's close to being let out. Then this one's really cool. So we all love Monstera deliciosa, right? But this is the Monstera deliciosa mint. And so this is a baby here. Look at oh my gosh, that leaf is so beautiful. Now, it has given us some really light leaves, so I'm hoping that it gives us, like, this leaf here has more green on it too. You could see from the bottom, but it did give us this all white leaf. So hopefully that stops and it goes back to that. Um and it did lose this younger leaf here. So we're just keeping an eye on that. But so far the roots are looking great, and it's doing really nicely. Um, yeah, it's absolutely beautiful. And so for folks that might not know, um, when you start white leaves are gorgeous. They're beautiful, right? We get excited, right? We're like, "Oh, that's so beautiful." But just for folks that might not know, so sometimes when you do get a variegated plant and it starts to put out a lot of white leaves, while it might look really nice, it's usually encouraged for you to cut that section off. Why? Because that section cannot produce its own chlorophyll. So it's lacking that green pigment that allows it to make its own food. And so if you have, let's say, a lot of white leaves, like this is just one white leaf. But if, let's say, you were to buy a Monstera albo and then you have only two green leaves, and all of a sudden it put out three or four all white leaves, let's say, it's very taxing to the plant because it takes a lot of energy because it's trying to keep the leaves alive. But it's producing sugars to keep the plant alive, and then it's also trying to sustain that what is often referred to as a sport like a sports growth. I forget why they use the word sport. I don't remember the origin of that and why it's called a sport. But basically that section, um, you know, uh, usually means some type of mutation. It doesn't always mean like a white growth, but it's when you have a sport, it's a section of the plant that starts to grow different than the mother plant. Some type of mutation is activated. Sometimes it's just variation. Sometimes it could be, maybe you have a plant that produces red flowers and that section starts to produce orange flowers. And so you can cut that, and now you have a sport of that plant, and that plant can be further split, and now you have a whole new cultivar. So all of these are now orange flowered plants. Um, but in this case, you can get like a white sport section, and that can be very taxing um, to the plant. And so, yeah, so usually, while it is pretty maybe to have one, if you start to see a lot of white growth, um, you don't want the plant to start to do poorly, and so it would be recommended to cut it. And then yes, the white growth won't be able to really sustain itself. It might stay alive for a little bit, but with the energy it does have, like its reserves, but it won't be able to replenish that energy. And then the last one is really cool, is the Spiritus Sancti. And this one's doing something really fun where it's sending up its roots upwards. So it's going up. You could see the root hairs. I'm gonna try to, there we go. You can almost see like a fuzzy like line, like almost like a highlight all around those roots. So those are root hairs. So I talked about root hairs last week. And yeah, you can just, they're very distinct on this one. So it had its roots here, and then it started doing this. So it sent these up, and now they're actually on the lid. There you go. You could see that they're on the lid. So we have some anti-gravity roots. But yeah, there's three, yeah, three roots. These are two here and one here that decided they want to go upwards. So they are still in the agar here in the growth medium. But they just decided that they wanted to move up. And that's the little Spiritus Sancti in there. So it's super cool. This still has time. Um, but I think that these two soon we will have to pull these guys out, and yeah, and I'll make sure to film that. Yes. Oh yeah, Suzanne, I did a class on what is tissue culture. I did do one. So it's in the replays, but I am gonna do one on what to do with your plant after you remove it from the glass. Because I think in that class I just explained what is tissue culture, so that folks who don't know what it is, at least know why is this plant in a jar. But so it's short, kind of recap. So these are kind of essentially clones of mother plants. It's another form of asexual reproduction. And so how we do plant cuttings. So you have your mother plant. Not all plants can be propagated that way, of course, but let's say like a lot of our philodendrons can. So you can go ahead and you cut a piece that has a node. You put it in water, you put it in soil. I don't know if you can hear Julia. She's like laughing in the background. Um, but and then you end up with a new plant. Well, with tissue culture, it's a much more sterilized lab kind of approach where you take the tissue of that plant. So it doesn't necessarily have to be like a full cutting, it's just the tissue of the plant. And that is, cleaned, put very, very precisely, cut into little pieces and put into this like nutritious gel. It's a growth medium, it's like an agar, and uh, it will generate little plants. And so this is how this has been used for a really long time. A lot of our house plants have actually been produced via tissue culture. So they're all started off like this. Then they get big enough, they're put into, they're kind of upgraded into pots. Once that they went through that phase, then, you know, um, they get upgraded even further, and you end up having enough to sell, and it keeps, plants that are in high demand on the shelves. And a lot of plants are only possible through tissue culture, such as the Thai constellation. So at this time, as far as I know, all Thai cons are tissue cultured. So it's not something you can currently start from seed, as far as I recall. So yeah, so some people are doing this at home if they're able to provide, the sanitary conditions, and they might section off like a closet or something in their home to make it, germ free. Because the problem with this is, in this little enclosed environment, we are vectors. So we might have, germs, pathogens. You can pass germs from one plant to another plant by touching. So we could introduce something to the plant, some type of fungus. There's spores flying around all the time. And so you need to take a couple precautionary steps to ensure that it's a very like perfect, clean environment for you to do this and to develop your plant. Because if at any point in that process you introduce something, you're going to end up with like mold, or a dead plant that got consumed by bacteria, because the bacteria ends up populating and the plant is just a food source. So yeah, but it is a fun project. Um, yeah, maybe you need taller jars. Yes. Um, yeah, well, with these, once these guys kind of hit the lids, it's gonna be time to remove them from the jar, and that's a whole process. Because once you open this, it's never the same. You can never get the environment back to how it was. And so it's a very precarious time where you're going to want to have them like in a dome. You actually don't want to have them exposed to the like just atmospheric kind of situation for the first couple weeks. So you can basically like open it really quick, put it into its new situation, put a dome, and kind of not touch it uh, for a little bit, so that it starts to acclimate, and then you can slowly start to increase the amount of air and slowly get it used to its new environment. Um, and hope and cross your fingers that it'll be resilient enough and continue to grow and mature and become a big plant. So these right now are super cheap. So you can get these types of plants that are usually hundreds of dollars. This it's like 15 bucks. I think the Spirit to Saint, you have to ask Brian, or I think it was the mint, I think was $30 or something like that. But I've gotten some smaller tissue cultures for like 10 bucks. So it's becoming more accessible. And as I mentioned, it is something folks are starting to do at home. So you actually don't need a whole lab or anything. Um, oh, Suzanne, can you put a plastic bag over it? Yes and no. Plastic bag sounds like a good idea, but then it has to be, let's say, like a brand new bag, and it would have to be, you have to seal it. Um, and then hope that, yeah, like nothing was in contact with the bag. Um, and then, yeah, it's a little harder with plastic bags. With plastic bags are great for like propagations. Um, Tissue culture is just that propagations tend to be off of plants that are already exposed to all of this. but these guys, like they're like, think bubble boy. So these are bubble plants. So they're just going to be much, much more sensitive to changes in their external stimuli. So while a bag could technically work in terms of once you're transferring it out of its jar, maybe trying to get it acclimated, um, there's just, yeah, it might be a little bit difficult, but it theoretically theoretically work. In terms of using a plastic bag to start the process, I wouldn't know. Glass is usually used. I think there's also plastic, but glass is primarily used because it's just easier to sterilize. Um, and yeah, to like keep the temperature and stuff like that. So glass seems to be preferred. But let me see here. Yeah. Oh, Suzanne, thank you. Yeah, sports are called Lucis. Yeah, it's a really cool project. Jamie, let's see. Um, oh, and last question. Yeah, for Suzanne, is it plain agar? No, so it's like it's an agar that is infused with nutrients. Now, every plant breeder that is doing their tissue cultures, they tend to have their own like recipe. So there are some you can purchase it ready made. I can't think of the brand names off the top of my head at the moment, but you are able to purchase it pre-made. So it's already ready to go, and it tells you how many jars that you can make with it, because you don't, as you see, you don't need to fill the jar. It's just the base. So it'll tell you how many you would be able to theoretically make, and it comes, pre pre-mixed. You just use it. But then some breeders will purchase all the ingredients separately, and they will fine tune and have their own mix. But there is stuff added to it. Yeah. And Jamie, so we have talked about Kalanchoe's before. I love Kalanchoe's. I've restarted it 3 times and have the same scraggly, leggy plant again. It's growing well, but it looks awful. This happens. No one wants it, and I can't get to a recycling place. I just want to throw it out, but I don't want want the guilt of murder. Can you help with my guilt? Um, and then your follow-up is, can I dump it in the park and let nature do its thing? Definitely do not. Do not dump it in a park, especially Kalanchoe's. So it depends on where you live, but some Kalanchoe's, so like for folks out west, they're actually, a lot of Kalanchoe's are banned. So like some, like the Mother of Thousands and Mother of Millions, for instance, those are banned. So in certain areas, they can survive, and they will actually become very invasive. So never, 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 never put a plant outside, especially if it's a non-native. Also, even if it is a native, you might accidentally introduce some type of pathogen. So maybe, you had it in your home for years, and you have all these tropical house plants around you, and then that plant, even though it's a native plant, is in contact. There's cross contamination. It gets infected with some type of a blight, some type of like fungus or bacteria, some type of even viruses. Plants have viruses that can be communicable. I'm forgetting the word. Communicate. I can't even say the word. I can't say that. I'm blanking. But yes, it can be like from touch, like mosaic virus. You can't pass it along. And then what ends up happening is now you put that plant outside, and that is going to spread. So yes, so definitely don't put the Kalanchoe outside. In terms of, yeah, I understand how frustrating that can be. Yeah, I have like a couple, and there's some Kalanchoes that are like that I have, that just, they grow weird. And once they're in that weird state, it's yeah, they're kind of like stuck like that. What I would recommend is if you happen to have a Facebook or something like that, you can actually, there are groups. So like for instance, I know for my area, it's called Plant Giving Astoria, and folks just post and say free plant, to a loving home. Um, and someone can come who maybe really likes it. So maybe there's somebody out there who really likes that kind of weird kind of growth. I mean, I know I definitely like when my plants start to grow really wild. I like it, but yeah, there are some that like, oh, I wish it stayed that way, and it doesn't. And there's a multitude of reasons. Sometimes just the lighting situation is just not optimal. The light is not close enough. So also like if you have a grow light, it's not close enough. So the plant wants to stretch. So there's a myriad of reasons why it could ideolate, which is stretching. And it's usually comes down to light. Uh, but yeah, if you don't want to throw it away, and as you said, you don't want to murder it, and I wouldn't recommend putting it outside. I would say just post it up. You could even try like sometimes there are buy nothing groups on Facebook, or things like those types of like social media type of things, and you can post it up and say free to, and maybe someone will come and pick it up. So you could totally do that. Folks will pick it up. um I've seen folks even put, plants that are sick. So hey, this plant is covered in mealybugs. I give up. I don't know what to do with it. Does somebody want to take on the project? And people take it on. So they're like, hell yeah, I want a free plant, and I'm happy to work with the mealybugs and get rid of them and have nurture this plant, give it a second chance at life. And so you can probably find someone that would be more than happy to take it off your hands. Um, yeah. Oh, and Tanya, I have an epiprenum, the pinatum, variegated, that's growing weird. Oh, yeah, sure. Can you take a look? Absolutely. Um, I'll also show, Brian has a really cool epiprenum, pinatum variegata.
I think
And
that's what it is. Yeah, speaking of that, I got this at a plant swap at the library. Just this leaf. It was a one leaf cutting this past fall in September. And it's, green and white. This was the only leaf. And it's done really well, but now the variegation is yellow. And I don't like moss poles, but I did put this pole on it. But it did this weird, like, I don't know what this growth pattern is. It's not growing on the pole. It like came out and looped around. I'm not sure what it wants, but it's doing very well. But I don't know. Also, I don't know why it's yellow instead of white.
so
It
that
might
it
be
could be,
turning.
it might lighten. It might lighten as the leaf matures. But
Okay.
there's different types of variegation. So
Okay.
there's that like white kind of creamy variegation,
Mm-hmm.
and the other variegation which folks will call like aura, like so like
Right.
gold, so like that like neon green kind of looking
Yeah.
variegation. I think that might lighten. So I think that since the leaf it might still be fairly new, it's
Mm-hmm.
gonna look uh
Yeah.
really bright like that, but it's gonna start to lighten. And is that newest leaf that looks like it has a lot of white on it? That
Yeah. This is the newest leaf, and
yeah.
it's growing around in this weird way because that's the first. This is the original cutting. It was just this leaf.
So, I mean, it's definitely, if it's growing that way, it's definitely moving towards the light. Um,
But
and
the light is literally above it, right over
love
here.
it.
Yeah. It's under the grow light on my wall. So the light is right above it. This one likes the light. I have it like right under the light. And this is the only one that doesn't mind it. It's just bizarre.
It's a
I don't
beautiful
understand this.
plant. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
So, but
So
yeah,
this
for it
gets
to
very
go outward like that, um, that is interesting. I mean,
because
they
the
do
light's above it.
shade, huh?
The light's above. It's up here.
Huh?
Okay.
So, yeah. 'Cause I mean, yeah, they do like to. So the as they grow, they tend to they when they're climbing up, they'll put out their leaves kind of this way. Um, and usually they cascade. So what I'm wondering is if maybe if that growth is redirected, that maybe it's like a almost like a gravitational thing. So some vines, for instance, um, when they're used to hanging down and then they're starting to get staked up, you will have some like kind of odd growth in the bit like during that transitional time where then it starts to finally stick back on the actual pole. It's like for
Yeah,
a moment it's like whoop.
and
um
it's not
so
attached to the pole at all either.
yeah, like
Bro,
it went away from the pole
yeah,
and
it's
it
going
looked like
away from it.
it looked like a horseshoe, kind of like it
Yeah,
went back.
yeah, yeah.
Um
And I see the little nodes or aerial roots. They're starting, but they're not yeah, I don't want to. I guess if I put more moss in here, maybe this top one will go in, but I didn't want to try to force it because I don't
yeah,
understand
then it
where
might
it's going.
snap.
Might snap off.
So I'm wondering if it might be something related like to that transition from like to the moss pole. So that plant movement is caused by it's mitigated, I should say. It's like controlled by something called auxin. And so I'm wondering if it had to do with where the auxins were in the plant. And so essentially they move. I'm trying to remember some of my plant chemistry here, but I think they move um I think they're on away from the sunlight, but then they're directing the movement towards the sunlight. And so when you like rotate a plant, let's say, and it's like a
Right.
big rotation, it takes a while for the auxins to kind of switch to the different side. And then during that time, the plant growth might be a little odd, as
Yeah, it looks.
recalibrating.
Yeah, it looks like it's spiraling up now that you say that. It looks like that's what it's doing.
Yes, phototropism. Yes, that is the process, George. Yes, exactly. And with and auxin, the auxin is doing that. I'm really trying to. That's haven't thought about that for a while, so I'm like I'm trying to remember the process there. But yeah, so it could be something like that. So but yeah, definitely the movement towards the light. And I mean, it looks like it circled back. So
Hmm.
you might want to, if you do want to kind of reinforce that edge, yeah, like maybe add
Yeah,
something for
chop
it.
this up and strap it up. There's a
Yeah,
little node here to get it to go into that because it's going back up.
yeah.
Yeah,
You could
okay.
try that. Um, and I mean, it's still the growth is still young enough. It
Hmm.
might kind of start to move a little bit more on its own. Um, but yeah, no, that's a beautiful plant. Holy moly. Um, oh yes, thanks, George. Yes, so they're hormones. Yes, because I was like, it's some type of chemical, but I couldn't remember if it was like an enzyme or a hormone. Yes, and that yeah, auxins are the plant hormones that are responsible for the phototropism. Yeah, and I'm trying to remember because they will move. So they, I just can't remember if they move if they like live kind of like on the side that has the light or they're in actually in the shade, they're on the underside. So that's why when if let's say a plant um is growing, let's say I don't know, I'm using this as an example, but let's say, so it's growing, it's this way, this side is always facing the light, and then you decide to rotate it like drastically, and
Hmm.
um it takes a while for that transfer, and so the plant will eventually move again to kind of right itself to where it can take in the light in a better way, in a more like efficient way. um but there is a kind of a time in between, and your plant might look a little weird during that process. Sometimes they'll end up bending in odd ways and things like that. So that's why it's actually recommended that when you rotate your plants to do a quarter turn, because then
Okay.
they're it's a much easier gradual process. It's kind of working with the plant instead of doing like a full turn. Yeah, but I have to brush up on the process, but I'm theorizing here that might be something to do with it. But it looks like it did right itself, and it's back towards the pole, so you could reinforce that by adding some more moss, and maybe like some of that, like the Velcro plant tape.
Mm. I
Um
got some of that clear stuff too.
oh yeah. Yeah, yeah. So to kind of get it there, but that is an absolutely gorgeous plant. Oh my gosh.
I do love this color. This looks more lime green before it was more yellow. This was more yellow before it started fading. I think this one used to be yellow and now it's white. So I'm like, maybe that's what it, I
Yeah.
don't know.
So that's what
I
I'm
thought it
yeah,
was, yeah.
that's what I'm thinking too. It's gonna start, and it looks like that really bright kind of neon
Hmm.
yellow green like highlighter color, and then as
Hmm.
leaf hardens, becomes more mature, it'll start to fade, but it's beautiful in the meantime. Definitely.
Yeah, definitely.
Such a
Okay.
gorgeous plant. Oh my gosh, good luck with that one.
Thank you. I have one more other question. Now that you mentioned like the light and the turning, when you direct the light at a plant, like I have an elbow and you want to give it enough light, is the light supposed to shine towards the newest leaf, or is it trying to direct the light to the newest leaf or the whole plant, or do you know what I'm saying?
Oh yeah. So I mean, I would say the most that you can, light that you can give to the whole plant.
The
uh,
whole plant.
yes, because sometimes the newer leaves too, you might notice certain newer leaves, especially with like a lot of aeroids, you might notice like for philodendrons that the new leaves tend to might come out like a rosy color, or they might look like they have uh,
Right.
sometimes they come with like it's like an extra protectant from the sun, because they are so new. The new leaves are highly sensitive to everything, to cold, to humidity changes, to the sun, and so it needs time to kind of needs that little extra protection until it starts to like further expand and what is called harden. So you'll notice
Hmm.
also, even if you were even to touch a brand new leaf, it
Yeah.
feels different, right, than the mature leaf. So it takes some time. The old leaves are the ones that are going to be actively photosynthesizing and helping that process along. Yes, Suzanne says like babies needing sunscreen. Yes,
Okay.
yes. Um,
Yeah,
and
I'm double dipping because I do have my like elbow here on this table with the grow lights, and here's the new leaf. You could tell it's very sensitive
so
to touch it, but I wasn't sure if I want to put the light shining on the other leaves or on the new leaf because it'll burn it. And I know you need to keep the light going or you'll lose your variegation, as you were saying before, but also like the same
yeah.
plant light that this is under when I went on vacation, I put this over there and it burnt the white on this leaf. It was too strong for this leaf, but it's fine on this plant. So don't put the light shining directly on the new leaf.
I mean, right now it looks like it's open. It looks like it's great. I would keep
Mm-hmm.
the light situation the same. If you have control of maybe how far the light can be, maybe
Mm-hmm.
slightly pull it away, but I would say keep the lighting the same, because that it looks like it's already fully expanded. It just needs to harden a little bit more, but that's
Yeah.
gorgeous leaf. Oh my gosh.
Yeah, this was a very lucky cutting I got last year. Got two plants out of it. Yeah, because I always feel like because the new leaf will come off. I can see a little nub where the pregnancy is, where the new next leaf is coming on the leaf that's unfurling. I could see it in there. So that's why I wasn't sure if I wanted to put the light on that because I wanted to start to fenestrate. Yeah. Okay. Thank
Beautiful.
you.
You're very welcome. Oh man, that looks so cool. And it's
Thank
such a
you.
well balanced monstera
It's
too.
gorgeous. It really is.
That is so so pretty. My our gloriosum is putting out another leaf. I had put it on that side of the room for quarantine purposes back when we got it. Oh my gosh, I think we got it in like December, uh, maybe November, December. We got it a while ago. And I had put it there and it started pushing out new growth. So we left it there and now it's getting its like latest leaf. Um, and so, but it's definitely not, it's our Monstera gloriosum, but it's not balanced. It's, it's, I mean, we got it because I liked how it was hanging off of the pot. Um, I put it into this little tripod thingy holder that's like wedged in there.
Oh,
But yeah, here's
ooh,
the newest leaf. It's coming out.
love those veins.
See, I like this. I like when they're growing
It's a
kind of,
crawler, right? It's a crawler.
yes, it's a crawler.
Okay.
Exactly. So yep, it so yeah, they'll grow like this. Um, but I do appreciate the Monstera albos and when they grow like so perfectly and when they're balanced. But yeah, these new leaves are always awesome. It's
Yeah.
they're they're so gorgeous. And then it's so tempting because you want to touch them. Like
Mm-hmm.
you want to keep touching them and you're like, okay, okay, I should keep it at a minimum. Um, but yeah, I absolutely love them. But thank you so much for showing us. That's awesome.
Sure. Sure. Thank you.
Gorgeous. Oh, you're very welcome. Let me see if I could steal Brian's Epiprenum variegata for a moment. Oh yeah, Jamie, yeah, that Kalanchoe is toxic to dogs, so no park. Yes, yes. Um, yeah. Um, it it can be very, very toxic. And what's really interesting is Kalanchoe uh is consumed in Central America, so it has been used for medicinal purposes. And in El Salvador, there's a whole project where they're growing, I believe, 4 different species of Kalanchoe, and they have like purposely been growing these 4 species, and it's been used in cancer research and treatment options. And they've actually been working with some species of Kalanchoe. It's really, really interesting, right? I again, like, see, I like to collect these like fun facts about the plants. Because yeah. Um, let's see. Oh, and George, can you believe that that Google states the etymology of Kalanchoe comes from the modern Latin via French. Oh, can I borrow your Epiprenum variegata to show it looks like a snow queen pothos. It's absolutely gorgeous. I had never seen one with that much variegation, and he put it in a tank. It's in a tank with the grow light like right above it, so it's only like this far from the grow light, and it's been doing great. So yeah, like Tanya was saying, how it's under the grow light and it's not burning. So far, so good. As well with this one. I'd never seen one that color, and I think he bought it from a private collector. You got it from a private collector, right? But look at this. Doesn't that look like the pothos, the Snow Queen. Um, it's we propped it up like this for now. Eventually it'll go on a pole, like an actual pole, but it's just been pushing out new growth, and we finally got, there's like some, this leaf looks like the new leaf is going to have some fenestrations as well. It has little, it has little hole here, this. So it started getting some of that fenestration, but it's so beautiful. And I'd never seen this much variegation on one. But yeah, they're very hardy. Very, very cool, cool species. Uh, super, super. Oh, hers has like these big chunks of like cream, and it has like a neon color right now. It's gonna light. It looks like it's gonna lighten, but oh my God, it's so pretty. It's so pretty, Tanya. Like I want one like yours. I love that. I love like the big splashes of green, and then with the white, I feel like it looks like painted. Huh? Yes, yes. Brian says it looks like the creme brulee, you know. I love that. But that is, oh, that is a very, it's a very pretty. Yes, it's so white, right? I hadn't seen one like that. And so he got it from a private seller on Facebook. And so far it's doing fine under the grow light in a tank. And Brian actually just bought we want to like finish setting it up and stuff, and so then I'll shoot video in there. But the box is out here, so I'll show you. But Brian got this reptile fogger. So this is just the box, but it looks like this. And so you fill up this bottle with water, and you run the pipe, and it basically here you go, basically shoots out a mist, and it made the whole tank look like it was like haunted. I was telling Brian I feel like putting um like scary decorations in there, like maybe like a little Jason and like a little Michael Myers figurine or something, because it the mist just like come, it started at like the bottom, and then it just started like moving around the plants, and it looked very eerie. Um, and so, but yeah, so the reptile fogger, and so far so good. So it's to really keep that humidity up. Um, but yeah. And Suzanne, yes, most cancer treatments are controlled poisons. That is true. That is true. Um, Oh, and George, yes, I was reading about the etymology of Kalanchoe. So it comes from the modern Latin via French, and it's based on Galan, Galan, is it Galan Ki, Galan Kai in Chinese Mandarin. And it means Chinese broccoli, an Asian green leafy veggie. That is so neat. That is so cool. Yeah, I love, 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 love etymology. That is something too that I try to add to my lists of plants, is like the origins of their names. Um, yeah, and oh man, that, yeah, that definitely like tickles my brain. So etymology for me, yeah, I get very, very excited. I was actually just talking to someone about the scientific names of like let's say like hellebore. And so the specific one was Helleboris orientalis. And so Helleboris, it's like it breaks down into like the food to consume, but then toxic. So it translates to something that's toxic to consume. So a plant that's toxic to consume. And then orientalis, it means the locality. It's from the east. And so basically, if you translate the botanical Latin, it comes to a plant, that will kill you if you eat it from the east. And I love botanical Latin. I mean, there are of course a lot of genus, the genera, or the specific epithet. So they're broken into two parts. Um, that sometimes they are based on nouns or even people's names. So like honey locust, I think the genus is Gladitia, and it's like named after one of the first directors, if not the first director of like the Berlin Botanical Garden, I believe. I think he was like he might be the founding director, or he was a director that they wanted to honor. And so then some of those names sometimes are a little harder to figure out because you're like, wait, nope, that doesn't like tie back to like a certain words being put together, but rather it's named after someone, like in honor of someone. And we do see a lot of that. So like uh for instance, like the Anthurium hookeri. So after Hooker, the botanist Hooker, and then Adansonii, Monstera adansonii, it's after Adanson. So things like that. Oh yes, the poisonous plant. It's Helboris orientalis. Helboris orientalis. Yeah, I believe I spelled it correctly. But I have so many books on botanical Latin, but if anybody is interested in just getting started, so you just want to kind of dabble, or maybe you want like a cool little reference book, um, this one is wonderful, and it's called A Portable Latin for Gardeners. Small little book. It's really cute. I really like this book. And I mean, oh, I have so many leaves in this one. This is this is ginkgo. Look at the size of this one. So ginkgo biloba, so biloba. So these are lobes. So two lobes broken into two lobes. I love when I find like big leaves like this. I end up shoving them in my books. But I absolutely love this book because it breaks down not only certain plant names, but also just botanical Latin in general, um, and tells you where the words come from. So whether these plants are named after man-made objects, um, animals, it might be related to their taste or smell. Oh yeah, I have a lot of ginkgo leaves in this book. Look at this ginkgo leaf right here. I had read a really cool article that there was this theory that you could see these lines here. I'm going to bring it as close to the camera so that these lines here were actually needles that fused together into this fan shape, and that's what caused this kind of leaf shape to arise. It's a theory, um, and I thought that was pretty neat. But yeah, and then also yeah, shape, habitat. Oh, I even have feathers in this book. Looks Egyptian. It does, right? I forgot I have these are northern flicker feathers. Look how pretty that yellow is. These were unfortunately found at the base of a tree. So it looks like this northern flicker might have been consumed by something like a red-tailed hawk. Um, but look at that yellow. It's so beautiful. Found it among friends, fellow birders, and we divided up I said leaves. We divided up the feathers so that we each got some feathers to bring home. But that it's a striking bird. But I was just such a fan of just all that yellow. And yeah, so you will find feathers in some of my books as well. Not just not just leaves. And oh, did I show this one? This is a really big one. I have a lot of ginkgos in here. And this is like off center, so it's not perfect, but yes, amazing artistry, absolutely. And a lot of, these leaves will occur on the same tree and they'll all look so, so different. And so this is the fall coloring of the ginkgo. It will turn this gorgeous gold color. But otherwise, during like the spring after the actual leaves have developed, in the summer, it's this really beautiful green color. They're starting to come out here, but they're not they're just starting. So they're not ready yet. Trying to see what else. But yeah, this is a really great book. So I do recommend it. So for instance, here we go. And so this is for Latin, that is based on other names as names. So other names as names. Um, and so for instance, calamus, like calamus root. So the calamus comes from the Greek word for reed, reed. So of course, calamus. And then um see here, cepa is from the Latin name for onion, and so allium cepa, CEPA. Yeah, it's really ritro, so RITRO comes from the Greek ritros. Um, so it's meaning like roots, and so you see there's some really cool robur, ROBUR, comes from the Latin word for oak wood, so Quercus robur, and which is interesting because in Spanish, roble is the word for oak. And so it's something that you also see kind of mirrored in the botanical Latin, because it's Latin based. So just cool stuff like that. Really, really, really like this book, especially if you are just kind of starting out and you want to dive a little bit into the etymology of some of the plant names, things like that. Really awesome. Um, oh, George, are you saying that the coloration of the ginkgo leaf will stay if you collect it in different seasons? Yes, absolutely. It will dull. It will definitely dull, so it won't look as gorgeous. So as you saw, I mean, these are old. These are old. Um, so it's not the vibrant green that it would be, and probably over time it will just get lighter and lighter, but you would still see that it was green. As long as the moisture is kept out and it's kept nice and dry, you can keep the color for a really long time. And the same with the gold. So it was much more of like a yellow, like a brighter yellow, and it kind of looks, I feel like it looks more pumpkin now. It's like a orangey yellow. So it's like a duller, so it's not as bright, but it does keep the, most of the color, but it will dull over time. But yeah, if you keep them good. Um, and oh yeah, can I show the book name again? Yeah, absolutely. It's called the por up a portable Latin for gardeners. More than 1,500 essential plant names and the secrets they contain by James Armitage. But if you Google a portable Latin for gardeners, that's a much shorter title, and you'll be able to pull that up. And this one's great. Um, I do have I think it's called the textbook of botanical Latin. That's, I can't see it on my shelf, but it's a big book. And I also have this really great book called The Dictionary of Root Words. That one I only have as a PDF. And I do believe I have it available for free in the resources when you go to the replays. It has like a recommended reading. I believe I threw that in there. Um, so it's called The Dictionary of Root Words. And that's another really good, really, really good one. And oh, and Suzanne, Hellebores orientalis is ironically also called Lenten rose, appropriate for this time of year. Yeah, yeah. Also called Christmas rose. I know that's another common name. Yeah. Oh, so Marianne asks, are bluebells poisonous to dogs? Worried when walking through the woods. I I don't know if bluebells are toxic. That I don't know. Hmm. So let me see. Yep. Yep. So apparently they do contain very toxic glycosides. So glycosides are one of the plant constituents that uh some plants, especially even plants like in the Solanaceae family, so like the potato family, they have a lot of glycosides in them. And I think also some alkaloids. But yes, it's meant to protect. It's a defensive chemical for the plant. So it looks like bluebells are indeed toxic. And it looks like they're not just toxic to dogs, but they're also toxic to livestock and us, and can be fatal if consumed um, in large amounts. And so, yeah. And I know, yeah, like there are other flowers that come out in the spring that are very toxic. So you want to be very mindful of things like that. Um, I think irises, they're not out yet, but they're coming. Um, um, and of course, like lily of the valley, the greens, the foliage is popping up, and so that's toxic. Same with daffodils. Daffodils, if they're still up in your area, um, those can be toxic. Um, and yeah, like the bulbs, I think it's more so. And I think daffodils were used traditionally to make you throw up. I have to look that up. But I think the daffodil bulbs were given in small amounts to people as an emetic, or a purgative. So again, giving folks, small amounts of poison essentially, to cause them to purge basically. Um, and I know there's another spring flower. Tulips. Tulips as well. Oh, Jen, and the total eclipse is beginning. NASA is broadcasting. If you're not in the totality path, that is awesome. Thank you so much for sharing that. I'm going to pause that. Oh, I already hear the music. Um, Holy moly. Wow, almost 300,000 people watching. That is cool. Yeah, we'll see what we can see um from here in New York City. Uh but yeah. And George, just one more thing about, yeah, the coloration, when you collect the plants in like different seasons. Yeah, there's some ways that you can preserve the color a little bit better. So I have seen folks, one, you want to make sure that the leaf is completely dry. So for instance, if I were to want to keep it at least that level of green, so at this point, this has been a couple years that leaf has been nice and crispy and dry. And so there you can coat it with like a Mod Podge, or some people might even put like a almost like a resin glaze or things on them, and that tends to hold the color, kind of that color on. I've seen also people put them into laminators, and that can help keep the color longer if you wanted to do that. Again, the only downfall is, as I mentioned, if it's not completely dry. So if it's only a couple weeks old, I have made this mistake myself, where I have tried to save the plant looks so pretty pressed, and it's only been a couple weeks, and I've put it into like another thing, like plastic or something like that, and it starts to mold. And I did that early on before I knew, but now I know you want to make sure it's completely dry. And the same thing would happen if you laminate it or put it into resin. If it still has some moisture in it, it will actually mold. I do want to do a class on preserving plants, different ways that you can preserve plants. And so I've been slowly trying to put that together because I think I might have to do it in parts. Because there's so many different ways you can preserve plants, but yeah, I definitely want to show a bunch of different ways, especially sometimes, you might have a house plant that you really loved. And then it just it something happens and you want to preserve that memory. Like in this book, I actually have my oblique. It had gotten thrips, so it was amongst the plants that we lost, and I really loved that plant. But I was able to preserve the leaf. Oh, that's Jules. He's locked in my bedroom. He wanted to be in there, and now he's complaining. He ran in there. I was like, well, I'm gonna hop on Zoom. He ran in there, jumped on the bed, laid down. I said, you want to stay in here? And now he's meowing for me to let him out. So, but yeah, sometimes you want to preserve even your house plants. It's not even doesn't necessarily have to be a tree or a flower. It could be a house plant. And so there's so many different ways you can do that and keep that. I've seen people even, doing really fun things with spray paint and like magnolia leaves. You can spray paint them gold and stuff like that. So there's just so many ways to preserve plant material. And so I definitely think I want to do like a class, but there's so many ways and I want to do demos. So I want to show you. And so I think I might end up having to break it down into a series. But but yeah, I think I'm gonna do that because I love preserving plants. So yeah. Yes, you use a desiccant. Yes, you absolutely can. Absolutely. And so um you can do that with like borax. It's you use borax and I forgot what else. Cornstarch? I know you can use different things. I know some people use like silica gel, but the silica powder. But you can use something like with it's like a mix of borax and cornstarch, and we did that in high school, and I actually got the ingredients because I want to do it now. But yeah, I again I'm gonna record it. I'm gonna make it into a class so that folks can see all the different ways that you can save your plants. Yes, George, for herbarium specimens. Yes, yes. And I have been building my herbarium for school. I also had to put some together. I think I actually have some. I was just I don't remember the ratio of borax to cornstarch off the top of my head. But I know it is borax and cornstarch, if I'm not misremembering. So it's just been sitting there in my cabinet for a while because it's been something I've wanted to do for a little bit. Let me open the door for Jules and quickly grab that project I did for school. Anything out there? No, he's comfy on the bed. Okay. Meow to you too. Yeah. Well, you wanted to come out. bring down the computers. All right, here. Yes. So these are from 2017, but you can see, so this is European white elm, also known as spreading elm or stately elm or fluttering elm. And I collected these in 2017 in Central Park. So you can see this is from 2017, so 7 years ago. Wow, yeah, 7 years ago. um, there we go. It still has that green coloration. George, yeah, Gladitsia yes, triacanthos, honey locust, named after Johann Gottlieb Lieditsch, the director of Botanical Garden of Berlin. Yeah, three spines. Yeah, yeah. So okay, so he was just a director of the I said Berlin Library, Berlin Botanical Garden. Yes. So I remembered that he was a director. I didn't recall if he was like the founding director or just one of the directors. But yeah, so some of these plants, yeah, they're named after folks. You might see that. Um oh, this is Kentucky Yellowwood, also from 2017. So I mean, I have ones that I collected. Oh, Katsuda. This is the Katsuda. It's also from 2017. Um, but yeah, I have some that were that I have from even gosh, before that, from when I was a teenager. I have some specimens. Now these were ginkgos that were collected in 2017. So you can see that the yellow, it's faded, very, very faded, but it's still there. And the green, it's become more of like a olive. It's starting to look more of almost closer to a brown, but you can see that there's still green in there. And that's after this is 7 years. Um, but I mean, there's quite a few that's still really vibrant, like this linden. This linden really has, um, like this. I think these are the undersides, and then this is the top side. So really beautifully preserved. There's yeah, these I think I was just playing around with this one. I didn't even put them like in a proper, I just put them into the plastic. This is some beach rose and wild carrot that I had preserved like this. And what's cool is that with the wild carrot, you can't really see it in the camera, but oh, maybe here because you can see it against the rose. It protected all of those little hairs on the stem, which are an identifying characteristic for wild carrot to distinguish it from potentially toxic lookalikes. Oh, this one. There's like a couple layers of plastic here. But this was also from 2017, and this was from a princess tree, Polonia tomentosa. Look at the size of that leaf. And also that green, it's still it's still pretty close to the original color. Um, but yeah, that one's a big leaf. So yeah, some of the color will definitely fade, and then you have to watch out for things like mold. Um, and there's also pests. So there's also different types of beetles and larvae. Um, things like that that will attack mites, that will attack specimens. And so I actually had done a really cool tour behind the scenes at the botanical garden where they told us that for a lot of the specimens, they will actually put them in cold storage for they cycle them out. So like in sections. And so for some of the specimens, like especially like some of the insect specimens, some of any like taxidermy, some of the older plant specimens, that they would put them into cold storage for a couple months at a time and then rotate them out. And it's to just try to kill if there's any eggs or larvae or anything like that that might be in there, to kill them all off. And so to just promote, more longevity for the specimens so that they last longer. Because there have been, oh my gosh, specimens that even I was in charge of cataloging, and I would open up the packet because it was up next for me to, I was helping digitize. So they have a gorgeous herbarium at the New York Botanical Garden. I think it's the biggest in New York City. And I was one of the volunteers who was helping to digitize it. And yeah, you would sometimes open up, like, there would be like little packets sometimes, depending on the type of specimen. And some of it would be like dust. And, or you would see the remnants of like molts, basically, of larvae that had been in there. And so it's very sad. And the one of the like the program directors was telling us that, yeah, you know that can happen, where you might have like your specimen and you have it, especially folks that would keep them in little like drawer systems, and you would open it up and there would be like dust because something would eat it. and and then that's all you had left. And that's actually where folks really started kind of coming to know neem. So neem leaves, the leaves of the neem plants have been traditionally used to ward off predation of like books and stuff. So the leaves were put in books routinely to kind of ward off pests. And then now we've come to know as neem, to use it, neem oil to use on our plants. But yeah, yes, silverfish are a common pest. Yep. And they will eat paper. Um, you know, they're detrivores. I think that's how you say it, detrivores. Um, but yeah, they'll eat anything that requires breaking down. That's part of their job. So, anything that's organic that they can break into little pieces. So that includes plant matter. Yeah, and even things like paper. Then there's like carpet beetles. Carpet beetles are very prone to also attacking taxidermy as well. So if you have like, stuffed like deer heads or things like that, folks that collect taxidermy, they have to really stay on top of their pieces because it's very, very easy for larva to find its way there and start to eat away at it. They start to eat away at the glue and the binding, and they can really destroy beautiful pieces. Yeah, that's also the bane of many museums' existence. Is there's actually a whole class that you can take, and I'd actually like to do that for librarians, where there is a training that librarians take, which is how to battle pests that are commonly seen in libraries that destroy books. And I'd I'd really like to see if I could take that class if I'm not a librarian, because because that sounds really interesting. I'd really like to do that. Oh yeah, you're welcome, Diane. How to deal with silverfish? Um, I mean, gosh, silverfish. Well, they're very much attracted to humid spaces. So they're very commonly found in like bathrooms, or if you have like a mud room or laundry rooms. Um, so I mean, they're just, you're gonna find them if there's anywhere that has like a little bit of moisture. Um, especially even areas too that are like partially outside that are still like they tend to make their way indoors because the temperature is much more stable and they kind of they can overwinter. It's much easier for them to be indoors, but in terms of managing them, um I'm not really sure. I'm not really sure what kinds of things would deter them. Um yeah, I'm not sure because I don't think that they're actually insects. Might be wrong about that. But so certain things, like let's say isopods, for instance, they're crustaceans. And so when people use type like pesticides that are insecticides, it actually doesn't affect a lot of isopods. So in some cases, maybe it's strong enough where it would affect them, but a lot of times it's not. And so they're perfectly fine because they're not an insect. So I'm trying to remember if whether or not a silverfish is technically an insect. I'm not sure if it's also a crustacean. It looks very odd. So I'm trying to remember what type of arthropod it is. But but yeah, so I'm not really sure. I've seen I've had a few show up in I've seen like them like around the tub. I've seen them down in the basement. Um but I mean, thankfully, I mean they haven't caused any damage from what I've seen. But no, unfortunately, I'm not aware of any treatment or anything. Um but yeah. But all right. Oh gosh, it's already okay, 1:16. So you're welcome. Sorry about that. Yeah, I'm not really sure. Um but yeah, thanks so much everyone for hopping on and hanging out and asking your questions. I hope these recommendations were helpful. Again, the portable Ladin for gardeners, really, really good. And the oops, flowers from my heart by Princess Amanda. Uh, really, really beautiful book. Highly, highly recommend these two if you want to check them out. Thanks so much for hanging out. I hope folks can catch the eclipse and of course be safe. Only look if you have the right protective gear. Um, yeah, apparently, even if you look for just a couple seconds, you might not feel it right away, but you could get like retinal scarring and things like that. So please don't take any chances. So stay safe. But if you are able to catch it and check it out or check out the stream that Jen shared, thank you again, Jen, for sharing that. Um, yeah, catch it, check it out. Uh, yeah, I hope it goes well. I hope the rest of your day is amazing. And yeah, stay safe. And I'll see you next week, everyone. And thanks so much for hopping on and hanging out. As always. Thank you. I'm always very appreciative. All right, everyone. Have a great one and bye for now. You too. Have a wonderful week. Bye, everyone.